Yes, everybody is here and we can start. I invite you to join me with a very brief guided meditation. Please come to a resting position in your body and gently close your eyes. Place your hands in a comfortable way and take a deep breath, bringing your shoulders all the way up and dropping your shoulders as you breathe out. Let's do that 3 more times. Breathe in, bring your shoulders all the way up, and drop your shoulders as you breathe out. And once again, let go of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. Find that spaciousness, vacuum, where there is no doer, just things happening. Things come and go. Allow the rhythm of your awareness be revealed to yourself. Rhythm of your breathing be revealed to your awareness. Just the natural rhythm of your body, breathing in, breathing out, without you doing it. Allow it to be revealed to your awareness. Let us also send loving kindness to Bhante Jiva. May all his inflammations be cleansed. Infections be gone. May he regain his health by the power of all the loving kindness that we generate in this Dhamma hall. May he be well, happy, and peaceful. May he get the care he needed. May he see the loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity in those hands who care for him. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings taste Dhamma, sublime and visible here and now. Now you may come out of your meditation. So what we discuss this day 2 is actually the second sermon of the Buddha, the Anattalakkhaṇa Sutta. Anatta is non-self, Lakkhana is characteristics. You can turn to page 106 in the Bhavana Vandana book, where you will find this discourse. So compared to the sutta we discussed yesterday, that is the Mangala Sutta, this is going to take a different turn. And don't worry about the content. You have heard the language here before from Bhantes and from other teachers, and you will be okay. If you recall the first sermon of the Buddha, in it he says birth is suffering. You remember that list? He says aging is suffering, and what else? Illness is suffering. Union with people whom you don't like is suffering. And separation from those that you love is suffering. And toward the end, the Buddha says, in brief, 5 aggregates is suffering. But only one person got enlightened upon hearing that. So the Buddha had to explain what he meant by 5 aggregates and what he meant when he said, in brief, 5 aggregates is suffering. So he had to give this second sermon explaining what he actually meant. So let us read the beginning and maybe pause somewhere after the first page, maybe, and then after the 5 aggregates, and then we will discuss. I like to hear you reading, so let us read together. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the sublime one was living at Varanasi in the deer park at Isipatana. There he addressed a group of 5 bhikkhus thus, Bhikkhus, venerable sir, they replied, the sublime one said this, Bhikkhus, form is not self. If form were self, then form would not be prone to affliction. And it would be possible to say, let my form be thus, let my form not be thus. Because form is not self, form is prone to affliction. And it is not possible to say, let my form be thus, let my form not be thus. Because feeling is not self. If feeling were self, then feeling would not be prone to affliction. And it would be possible to say, let my feeling be thus, let my feeling not be thus. Because feeling is not self, feeling is prone to affliction. And it's not possible to say, let my feeling be thus, let my feeling not be thus. Because perception is not self. If perception were self, then perception would not be prone to affliction. And it would be possible to say, let my perception be thus, let my perception not be thus. Because perception is not self, perception is prone to affliction. And it's not possible to say, let my perception not be thus, let my perception not be thus. Because mental formations are not self. If mental formations were self, then mental formations would not be prone to affliction. And it would be possible to say, let my mental formations be thus, let my mental formations not be thus. Because mental formations are not self, mental formations are prone to affliction. And it's not possible to say, let my mental formations be thus, let my mental formations not be thus. Because consciousness is not self. If consciousness was self, then consciousness would not be prone to affliction. And it would be possible to say, let my consciousness be thus, let my consciousness not be thus. Because consciousness is not self, consciousness is prompt reflection. And it's not possible to say, let my consciousness lead us, let my consciousness not lead us. We will stop there and look again at the feeling part, because feeling is not self. So there was a friend nun, Sister Kema. She lived at Dhamma Sutta Meditation Center. She passed away last year. She had this pain in her right foot, so she went to the doctor. What kind of feeling do you think she had? Painful feelings, right? And the doctor did something to her foot. Until then, she was contemplating in her mind, this is not my leg, this is not my pain, this feeling is not mine. But as soon as the doctor pulled her leg, this is my leg, she suddenly started feeling that pain. No, of course, we can intellectually think that these things are not mine, but when it comes to a moment where pain is so intense, of course, you internalize it and you start to create a mental dialogue about it and complain. And by adding stories to it, our pain gets intensified and complaining gets easier, but it does not help us at all. So any of these experiences, whether it is your body or bodies that you see, and perceptions, millions of perceptions that you experience, and thoughts. I don't know how many thoughts we have in a day, so many, we cannot even count. The thought to count itself is a thought. And then many consciousnesses, one conscious moment after the other, many of those. We have the eye consciousness, ear consciousness, all these 6 classes of consciousness continuously arising and passing away. If you order any of these collections, aggregates, khandhas, to stay in one place without changing, it's not possible. They do change. They don't behave the way you intend them to. They don't listen to us. This is what the Buddha looked at. And he began explaining it to the 5 ascetics, 5 bhikkhus who were listening to him. Okay, so let's continue reading. Page 109. What do you think, bhikkhus? Is form permanent or impermanent? Impermanent venerable sister. Is that which is impermanent unsatisfactory or satisfactory? Unsatisfactory venerable sister. Is it correct to consider that which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and of the nature of changing as this is mine, this am I, this is myself? No venerable sister. What do you think, bhikkhus? Is feeling permanent or impermanent? Impermanent venerable sister. Is that which is impermanent unsatisfactory or satisfactory? Unsatisfactory venerable sister. Is it correct to consider that which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and of the nature of changing, as this is mine, this am I, this is myself? No venerable sister. What do you think, bhikkhus? Is perception permanent or impermanent? Impermanent venerable sister. Is that which is impermanent unsatisfactory or satisfactory? Unsatisfactory venerable sister. Is it correct to consider that which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and the nature of changing as this is mine, this am I, this is myself? No venerable sister. What do you think, bhikkhus? Are mental formations permanent or impermanent? Impermanent venerable sister. Is that which is impermanent unsatisfactory or satisfactory? Unsatisfactory venerable sister. Is it correct to consider that which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and of the nature of changing as this is mine, this am I, this is myself? No, Venerable Sir. What do you think, Bhikkhus? Is consciousness permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is that which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, or satisfactory? Unsatisfactory, Venerable Sir. Is it correct to consider that which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and of the nature of changing as this is mine, this am I, this is myself? No, Venerable Sir. So let's stop there. You are repeatedly saying three characteristics here. What three? The impermanence, anicca, and then unsatisfactoriness, that is dukkha, and non-self nature, anatta. Those days at the time of the Buddha, they were teaching a permanent self that you will unite with at the end of your life. And the Buddha was highly against that. In a way of, as a meditation teacher, as a Dharma teacher, he was showing to these monks from the very beginning how all these experiences that we experience are completely, in every moment, subject to change, that they don't stay forever according to your commands, as we discussed before. And it's not just seeing impermanence of the buildings and your vehicles, your body and so on. It's also what's happening momentarily, moment to moment in your mental experience, in conscious moments. It's not in the physicality only. It is in the cognition, in every experience that you have about the outside world. This too arises and passes away millions times. If only you see with your eyes closed, you will see that experience. With our eyes open, it's not possible to see that unless you are in deep meditation, with your eyes open, unless you are in deep meditation and your eyes are open and you are thinking about the impermanent nature of the mental experience. However, we have many conclusions about life. When there is pain, breakup pain, or pain of losing a job, we take it as my pain. Because in the conventional world, that is how we are taught. That is how we like to think. That is the conventional world. We don't discuss the absolute truth, the language in our day-to-day life. You wouldn't say, my 5 aggregates lost the job today. That would be awkward to say such a thing. So we are only seeing this nature for freeing us from any kind of wrong perceptions of learning about the world and letting go of that thinking. It does not happen in one night. It takes time. But this is the beginning of that understanding. And gradually, the more you pay attention to the impermanence, and because things change, because things don't stay the way you ask them to behave, the unsatisfactoriness of it. Say, for example, you love a pleasant feeling and you want that pleasant feeling to last, but before you know, it's gone. And now there is that suffering, unsatisfactoriness, the dukkhata, the nature of dukkha, a thing that is difficult to bear. Sukha, that is happiness that is easy to bear. So it is called sukha. Skha has this stability. Dukkha is, it's difficult to bear. Sukha is easy to bear. But sukha that we experience in the day-to-day world changes. But this does not mean that the Buddha gave a wrong impression about life. He never taught that life is suffering. This is a misunderstanding about the Buddha's teachings. He taught there is suffering in samsara, in the existence of this cycle where we are subject to rebirth, not just birth, rebirth, where you don't have any control of where you are headed next. And then he taught happiness and the highest happiness. He did not say life is suffering. He did show us that there is happiness and the highest happiness that you can experience within this lifetime. So he begins teaching those teachings based on jhanas and happinesses that you experience through jhanas. And through these profound teachings, this can have a lasting impact on your psychological well-being. So when you experience any pain, any suffering, any grief, any loss, you can apply the concept of the 5 aggregates and begin to analyze it and see the impersonal nature of this experience that you are having. You could see the form aggregate, the body that is subject to suffering upon hearing this news of a loss. And then you could see the unpleasant feeling associated with it. You could also see the way you perceive it is affecting you to feel wrecked. You could also see many consciousnesses arising and many thoughts manifested based on this experience. These are all aggregates showing the reality of that experience that you are having. But then the wisdom comes and says, this too shall pass. This is not yours. You do not have to hold on to this experience. More new experiences may come, and they too will be of this nature, whether it is happy news or sad news. They all have the same nature. So you build equanimity from within. Your core gets stronger and stronger, and losses become normal in your experience. You will see equanimity kicking in sooner than before, than an ordinary person who has never heard this Dhamma experience that loss. You will be experiencing it differently. This is the Dhamma being immediately effective, sandittika. You are tasting Dhamma right here, right now, as you are applying this teaching to that experience of loss or happiness. It doesn't matter what it is. Ready to read more? Page 113. Therefore, bhikkhus, whatever form, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, low or high, far or near, all forms are not mine. I am not they, nor are they myself. Thus it should be correctly seen with wisdom as it is. Whatever feeling, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, low or high, far or near, all feelings are not mine. I am not dead, nor are they myself. Thus it should be correctly seen with wisdom as it is. Whatever perceptions, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, low or high, far or near, all perceptions are not mine. I am not them, nor are they myself. Thus it should be correctly seen with wisdom as it is. Whatever mental formations, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, low or high, far or near, all mental formations are not mine. I'm not them, nor are they myself. That it should be correctly seen with wisdom as it is. Whatever consciousness, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, low or high, far or near, all consciousness is not mine. am not it, nor is it myself. Thus it should be correctly seen with wisdom as it is. Perceiving this because the learned and noble disciple becomes disenchanted with form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. And that disciple, through this disenchantment, becomes dispassionate, and by the absence of passion, free, and when free, aware of that freedom, aware that rebirth is exhausted, that the holy life has been lived, that there is nothing more to do. Thus spoke the Sublime One. Delighted, the group of five bhikkhus rejoiced in what the Sublime One had said. While this exposition was being delivered without attachment, the group of five bhikkhus became free from the defilements. Then there were six arahants in the world. Who are the six? The five ascetics and the Buddha. Buddha, who himself is an arahant.
What's the meaning of arahant?
Arahant, ara is the core, hant is the destroyed, or destroyed, or else attained nibbana, enlightened. So, yeah. Core here is as associated with the cycle of samsara, and that is destroyed. They no longer have any reason to hold on to forms, feelings, perceptions, volition, or volitional formations or consciousness aggregates. They're just free. Without knowing these five ascetics, if you dig deeper, a little deeper about experience of these six arahants come into the world, they were misguided for the most part. These five were the friends of the ascetic Gautama, who was practicing self-mortification and other wrong practices. When he went to the maximum length, maximum level, any human could have gone in the practice of self-mortification, he gave up. He said, this is not going to help me liberate in any way. At that point, the five friends abandoned him. When you try to do something important, your friends will discourage you first. Don't listen to them, the Buddha says. He went by himself. He said, okay, goodbye. I'm going to discover this myself. And he slowly began eating and regaining his strength so that he could meditate longer without being fainted. He collapsed. He regained his health gradually and began using his capacity to think, reason out, to understand what is actually happening. For that, he needed jhana. He recalled as a little boy when his father was busy with the plowing ceremony. He went into a very cool state in his meditative experience. He thought, this must be the way out. He wanted his mind silenced. So some childhood experiences, they can come handy to help us and rescue us from the troubles we are facing. So he went into these jhana meditations, now closer to becoming enlightened. He was 35-ish at the time. And he went deeper and deeper and deeper in his meditation. Deeper you dive, less you worry about the upsetting waves. But they mentioned the ocean example this morning. If you want to swim, just dive head first and go deeper. Deeper you go, you don't feel the waves above. You are just stilled. That's what he needed. Mind that is tranquil, mind that is still, mind that is like clear water, not moving, not being shaken easily. And he had that. He acquired that through his meditation. And he saw the mind entering a space where there was no thoughts whatsoever. This he named as the second jhana based on his own experience and the experiences that were taught to him by the teachers at the time. He did his full search, and this search is recorded in Middle Length Discourses number 26, Noble Search, Anattalakkhaṇa Sutta. When we read suttas like this, we need to combine that also with number 36, Mahasacchaka Sutta, where he adds a little more about his experience of awakening and reaching out to these five ascetics, looking for someone to teach this. All that is explained in those suttas, and gradually teaching the first sermon to the five ascetics, that is in the first sermon of the Buddha, setting in motion the wheel of Dhamma, Characteristic Sutta. There he just basically taught the noble truths, and he declared that until he discovered what to do with each truth, he never declared to the world that he was awakened, that he knew. And only briefly mentioned the five aggregates. And here, now you combine the Anattalakkhaṇa Sutta, the discourse on non-self characteristics, and get the full picture of what he was trying to explain. So for us to understand this, like Bhante often says, understanding is one thing and experience is another. Understand, Bhante's example, Bhanteji's example is that a lady who is pregnant and delivers the baby knows that experience herself. A man understands it, but he doesn't go through that experience. That's the difference. So to experience it is completely different experience. So this is a great example. Like in that experience, it's a struggle between life and death and uncertainty and all. But here in the meditation experience, we are given these tools to deal with. And it does not occur to us in one go, as we hear in the number 26 of Majjhima Nikaya, that the Buddha had to sit with two of the monks while three others went on alms round. And those three came and two others went the next day for alms round. So the Buddha had to really interview them and closely sit with them and teach. And those teachings are lost. We don't have all those discussions they had. How many times he may have tried to convince them, all that. What we hear is just the formula, the sutta here. So it's for us to sit with it and analyze it and see what is actually happening here. In that first sermon, he says, Yam piccam nalabhati tampi dukkham. What one wishes, you wish something to happen and you don't get it, and that too is an experience of suffering in us. So here, you could apply that to the five aggregates, five khandhas, and think that may my thoughts be only thoughts of loving kindness until I die. Is it possible? You know by now that it's impossible to contain your thoughts in one stream. They change without telling you. So with strong level of mindfulness, you are able to discover their behavior patterns, their way of behaving. and you take yourself out of it. You let them be. You just understand the truth about them. You don't try to change or stop anything. When there is pain, you know the truth about it. The Buddha would say, my back hurts. Pitting me agilayati. He recognized it, but he also knew the truth about it. He knew the truth about the arising of this experience and the cessation of this experience millions times. He had analyzed it and understood to not be affected by it, not take it. What happens when you take it personally? You start to scream in pain, and you start to get irritated with people around you. You show anger, you start to curse. That did not happen in the mind of the Buddha, because he was just dealing with the truth. The truth is the truth of what a truth this is, that this is what he discovered and that he did not have to struggle with. But again, he did not have to endure it either. When he was sick, he accepted the fact that he was sick. He had to get the help of the doctor. That's how he did not struggle with it. This is the message here. Take it as just for what it is, not what you want it to be. There's a gap between expectations and reality. This is the reality. And when you have expectations for it to be different from what it is, then that creates so much suffering. The thinner the gap is, closer you are to the truth, and less suffering you will experience. So take a car, an automobile, for example, and separate pieces of it: engine on one side, steering wheel on another side, the wheels on another side, and the body on another side, seats on another side. Do you see a car there? You don't. You just see stuff. So this is the stuff with regard to the experience of a human. Not the body only here, the body and a little bit more: feelings, perceptions, mental formations, consciousness. So this, in short term, is called mentality and materiality. Materiality is the form, the body, and mentality constitutes of feeling, perception, mental formations. Actually, there's a different way to explain it. You know the set of terms: Phassa, Vedana, Sanya, Cetana, Manasikara. Have you heard of them? Phassa is the contact, okay? With the physical body, you experience 6 contacts: eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, and so on, right? And Vedana, feelings: pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feelings. Sanya, perceptions, patterns, shapes, these colors, and so on. And then volition, cetana, mental volition. You have thoughts in your mind. And attention, manasikara. Attention. The reason why consciousness is not regarded as that mentality experience is that then it would be self-producing. Therefore, consciousness, I think, is taken to the basic level of just giving attention, and you can just get rid of that problem of continuously, mentality and materiality work together. And Bhante wrote an article based on this experience. This I read, I think, 11 years ago. Who has read the article titled "Onion is Born" by Bhante? So, have you?
What is
Onion is born. Yeah, it's an excellent article about craving and ignorance, feeding the baby I all the time. Craving is on from one side, ignorance is on the other side, like both parents. And I, the baby, in the center. That's how the onion is made. On, onion. Because of the kind of ignorance we have toward these dhammas, we get pulled in different directions and go through all these experiences without having a language to explain it or understand what is actually happening. So these are called also five. The aggregates themselves is not a problem, but when they become clinging aggregates, then there is a problem. Then you need more work done. Clinging is called upadana in Pali. Upadana, like close, upadana, closely grasping, seizing, without letting it go. Right? So upadana is part of the dependent arising and dependent vanishing nature, for lack of a better way to explain. So upadana paccaya bhava, when you cling to something, there is existence based on that, right? Rupa bhava, kama bhava, arupa bhava. Existence based on sensuality or immateriality, or what is the other one? Materiality, the jhana experiences. So different experiences, existences where you will be born based on what you have developed and experienced in your mental level. So the idea then is to lose the grip for all these things, and then slip slowly to the masterpiece of the truth. You lose the grip and then you slip into the masterpiece. Have you read that poem? You've got to lose the grip. Whatever you're holding on to, just put it down. It's painful to put it down. It's shaky to, it's like a glass of water. The moment you put it down, you see that shakiness. Your hand shakes, but the more you hold on to that glass of water with the intention of stilling that water, the more pain you inflicts upon you. So put it down and take these pieces and see where you were fooled to think that this is me, this is this person, that person. All of these then become clearer to you with more wisdom cultivation, with more purification of your mind and precepts, and more understanding and sticking with the Eightfold Path. So before I conclude, we have about 10 minutes. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
What difference is the formation and consciousness?
So mental formation is sankharas, and I will explain that. When it comes to consciousness, you have 6 classes of consciousness. All right, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. When you are conscious in any of these six, of course, thoughts need consciousnesses. So thoughts are various thoughts which are fully formed constructs here. It's not only thoughts, dreams that you have, images, visuals, proliferations, mental constructs, all these that involve the mind are called mental formations. But for you to process them, you need actually the mental consciousness, to be conscious on a thought, and then there is more thoughts, and then there is more thoughts and more thoughts about an experience. It's like the monk who went to a quiet place to meditate. He was disturbed by noises that he heard, and he decided to get on a boat and go to the middle of the ocean and meditate. And he was calmly meditating, and then he started hearing sounds, tick tock, different sounds. And he ignored it, but then it was getting stronger and stronger. Something was hitting against his boat. And he started thinking, now volitional formations are arising. He was first conscious and conscious and conscious and conscious. He ignored it. He was conscious enough to ignore it. And his mind was creating a story now. These fishermen, they don't know how important the work I do now. I'm meditating in the middle of the ocean. They should find a different spot. All these volitions or volitional formations that his mind was creating was happening without any control whatsoever. And he realized that this sound was not disappearing. He was ready to scream toward those fishermen, and he opened his eyes only to realize that it was just an empty boat, another boat hitting against his boat. So all those mental formations that he created, just waste of time, waste of imagination, waste of energy. And it was not true. This is what happens to us all the time. We create a conclusion about each person that we meet. Life is nothing but these conclusions. We have a conclusion about Steve Jobs, who passed away, and we think he's this way and that way. But if you truly, really closely live with this person for years, then you will see other things that you didn't know about this person. That's only how limiting our experience is as humans. So now he was conscious about this, whatever he was hearing, and he just couldn't let go of it, drop it there. He just created a mental story about it. Did I make it clear to you?
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
What are some examples of things that are permanent?
Nibbana.
Well,
Nothing. Things that are permanent?
is this book permanent?
No.
There's nothing permanent.
There is nothing permanent. Actually, Nibbana itself is not permanent. It's not a thing. Therefore, it's not. Therefore, you cannot even apply that question to Nibbana. It does not. It's not a thing. It's not a construct. It's just. It's not like in the similes we find it as a city or some place, but it's not. It's just the limited language, limited ways that they try to explain it. So nothing. You would think that this universe, as huge as this, which is constantly moving every second, how many thousand miles it goes, we don't even feel a thing about it. It's not permanent. It's constantly changing. It's devouring us all one day. That hand was up before. Yeah.
I'm still trying to get my head around the non-self
Mhm.
idea. I thought you did a pretty good job, but maybe you could just talk a little bit more about it.
So the way that it's best, we also read another sutta. This is also from Middle Age Discourses 148, Characteristic Sutta, which will give you a very clear picture of all these things. So the Buddha's way of teaching it is asking us to question about first the physicality, the body. Say the physical eye that is yours. You know for sure that one day it's going to disappear. It's going to get evaporated into the nature. So would you say that that physical eye is yourself? Would you? So before we even ask that question, we need to understand what the Buddha meant by that self. He meant, according to the Indian context at the time, people believed there is a permanent self here that is going to be united with the Brahma self. He was trying to break it down to us, asking questions based on physicality, like the eye, physical eye first, and then gradually pointing at objects that we see. Can you say that they are yourself? They would not behave the way you tell them to. That too is not self. Then there is contact that we make. That too is constantly changing as you create new contacts, millions of them. And then eye consciousness, that too changes moment to moment. So there's no everlasting permanent self in the experience of the eye. And same applies to the ear, nose, tongue, and the mental experience of those. And that is what the Buddha meant. He said, call this body yourself. At least it stays for a couple of years with you, but never call this mind yours or self, because it's lahu parivartata. It constantly, continuously changes. So a changing thing that does not behave according to your will, it brings truth to your life, that it changes continuously, but it does not have to make us sad necessarily. It just reveals the truth about it. And truth is that it does not have a permanent, lasting self. Did that explain to you? Yeah. Read 148, Pañcavaggiya Sutta, 6 sets of 6 from Middle Age Discourses. Yeah.
I understand that everything is impermanent, like even your consciousness and your thought can change. Then what's the Buddhist or the Buddha's view on laws? If everything can change, what's the point of making laws? Or it's law even a thing? Or should people making any laws?
People do, well, say in Theravada tradition, these vows are not emphasized so much. In other Buddhist traditions, like Mahayana traditions, they do to make a vow to be a Buddha in the future and save all beings. But you can see that too is impermanent, because once you become the Buddha one day, you are done. That's the end of that vow, literally speaking. But yes, these vows exist. It's like curses sometimes. They do exist. People can have bad energies and good intentions and can run after them for some time. And sometimes when you try to meditate and you don't get anywhere, they ask you to consider letting go of any vows you may have. And maybe by that point, when you come to a Buddha statue and say, I let go of my vow to rescue all beings before I become enlightened, and may I be able to concentrate my mind and become enlightened within this lifetime. And that is possible. So that's the end of that vow too. So nothing that way is permanent.
I mean, like the vows in conventional in our life, for example, like marriage vows,
They are obviously impermanent.
or you can make no, you just make a vow to someone, and the word vow meaning you want to break it, but it seems like it's like conflict by itself. Like since everything is impermanent, and you're making a vow based on your knowledge that you know it's gonna break. It's not a vow. You're making a vow.
Well, that is true, but we don't think that way in the Buddhist world. We just do it for. The Buddha never discouraged people getting married and having these commitments to each other and living a righteous life. He had teachings to support that kind of life. And some people do need a partnership in their lives. And they do better when they have someone to share their life with. But when they no longer feel the connection in that relationship, then they go on separate ways. And that too is not a problem. So, yeah, they break. And of course, knowing that we may ultimately, I don't think you break it, but I think with understanding, you may go on separate ways and you will be fine with it. Except sometimes people get into difficult relationships and start to hate each other. And this is not true love. You try to hurt other person. If you truly loved that person, you wouldn't want to hurt that person, even when you know that this person is no longer going to be with you. If you truly loved this person, you wouldn't be able to do that. It's like teenagers not knowing what true love means, right? They go after hurting their girlfriend or boyfriend. That's not necessary. You just can be still happy that they are happy somewhere else. That is selfless love. Well, that's a different subject from love. Any more questions? Your hand was up. Sorry.
Would you say that the khandhas can be explained in a hierarchical experiential system, like for example Paticca Samuppada? So is that the body is first and then feeling arises due to the body, and these feelings is this not possible?
Please experiment with this in your meditation to see where you are with it. The moment you begin to meditate, maybe the feelings are stronger, and don't you want to begin with it when you have enough knowledge about how to deal with feelings? You would just want to begin there, and then you never know what arises next. It would be a thought, and then you deal with that after. I think I used to think that there was an order for dependent origination. It's just for the convenience of teaching that there is this order for the recitation purposes. Monks had to memorize these and transmit.
Okay, so there's no inherent experiential chain with
there can be occasionally.
Outside of meditation, I mean, like with the khandhas, with walking around during the day, like with this body, and then based on this feeling arises, and you perceive these feelings, and then you proliferate about your perceptions, something like this?
It depends on where your mindfulness level is, and when you catch the experience itself. You may catch it from the consciousness moment, then you begin from there. Again, in Honeyball Sutta, Pañcavaggiya Sutta, there is, dependent on the eye and forms, our consciousness arises. There is that sequential order there. But are we mindful enough to catch it right there? So it actually expecting a sequential order could also create suffering in us. But it's good to expect that and see if there is any, and if you do find out, come and tell us. So maybe this would be the last question, and you can go to the yoga session after.
The previous question, because the question before was also on mental formations and your story about the boat and the monk. So the mental formation, the sankharas, are they arises after the feeling is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, or after I like it or dislike it? Like when do I start creating?
Actually, it arises before and after. So mental formations, I need to explain what it actually is. These are called manosankharas. Perceptions and feelings are mental formations. Okay? So you have it with everything. That is your answer. So physical formations, because the body needs the air. So these are called the in-breath and out-breath, the kaya sankhara, physical formations, bodily formations. And vitakka vichara, thinking and examining, this is called vachi sankhara, because with thoughts comes the words, verbal formations. So keep that set in mind. And perceptions and feelings is there before and after. It does not matter what you are experiencing. You perceive it, and of course there's a feeling. And in 148, you find out that, oh, pleasant feeling, do not indulge. Unpleasant feeling, do not hate it. You can do that. But then neutral feelings, you may think, oh, it's okay to be on neutral feelings. And that is ignorance, the Buddha says. There's us not knowing the arising of that neutral feeling. Therefore, we tend to think that there is refuge there. Do not fall into that trap. 148 says, there's no escape in the feelings anywhere. All right. Shall we stop there? Let's share merits. May suffering ones be suffering free, and fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, Devas and Nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect us and protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.